Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of In the Booth, where we interview online voice actors and actresses in Machinima's fan dubs, Abridged series, and any online web series. I'm your host, JD Card. Today, our guest is Bradley Gareth, or Black Mage Abridged. So, thank you for taking the time out of your day to do this little interview.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. Thanks.
All right. So, first things first, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right, so I started working in voiceover it would be 8 years ago now. Since then, I started out doing fan stuff, so I started out doing like fan dubs, a bridge series, little fan machinima videos every here and there. As I got older, I hit 18. First real video game I was in was a little otome game called Seduce Me. From there, I've been doing visual novels and other video games. Current stuff that I'm working on in the SCP videos. The most recent one was SCP Dollhouse, which was really cool because that was one with live actors that we dubbed over. In the audio drama series Cyberscape Neo, I play Roland, which is super awesome. The upcoming mystery visual novel Crimson Spires, I play August Flynn, the serial killer known as the Heartbreaker. In the upcoming mystery visual novel, which is like a space mystery called Quantum Suicide, I play Katashi Ikari, which is super awesome. And then a couple months ago, I got to be in Death Battle as Green Lantern, which was lots of fun.
Hey, yeah.
And then on the amateur side, I'm the creator of Soul Cheater. I'm the co-creator of Persona 3 Abridged. I'm the co-creator of Ranma Abridged, and the co-creator of Shaman King Abridged, which the last episode hopefully will be unblocked for copyright by the time you listen to this.
Fingers crossed.
Ears open.
So, another thing I want to ask, because I asked almost every online VA, so, like, what's with the name Black Mage Abridged? Or I guess, like, Black Mage, I guess, in general.
Yeah, I mean, so my username online for a long time was Black Mage Brad. Still is, kind of. It's like my Skype name, other things. So, my name is Brad, and whenever I was a teen, that was just really getting into online stuff, I was like, what should I make my username? So then I was like playing Final Fantasy at the time, so I'm like, I like this Black Mage thing. I also, I think at the time I was reading 8-Bit Theater. I'm pretty sure at the time I had read 8-Bit Theater, and I always really loved Black Mage because he's a huge fucking asshole. So I think that probably played into it.
All right. And what got you inspired into acting and even getting the voiceover in the first place?
Okay, so for acting physically, just for reference, I had done a couple years of theater before I got into voiceover. Nothing like huge. I wasn't on anything paid or anything. Whenever I was 10, I was like one of the extra little orphan boys in a production of Oliver at the local community theater. And then whenever I was in high school, I was in all the high school musicals. So we did How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, and then we had done Once Upon a Mattress, and it was really fun to be in both of those. So it was around that time that I really got into it, in part because my older brother had done it and he had really loved it. My older sister had done a little bit of it too. And, I just really loved being able to sing because I grew up playing music. Really loved sort of being on the stage because it let me be weird because I was a real weird kid. So it was a great outlet for that energy. And then I loved anime, so like and Pokemon specifically. So whenever I was about 15, 16, I was like cruising around on the internet on forums, and then there was this project that was up that was supposed to animate all of the Pokemon Adventures manga. And they said, well, we need voice actors. Well, as you can imagine with most fan animation projects, that never panned out. But I auditioned. I got a $20 headset, crappy microphone from like the Dollar General.
Yeah.
Courtesy of my dad. And then I auditioned, and then they were like, hey, it's gonna probably be a while until we like do this. So like, you should probably go over to this little place called the Voice Acting Alliance. Rest in peace.
VA was such a wild place.
Oh yeah, it was the Wild West. So I went over there to try to audition for things, and then From there, it just sort of built. I got into amateur stuff from there, got into some pro stuff, and then here I am.
Nice. Ooh, here's a fun question for you. So from then till now, what have been your favorite role or roles that you voiced in?
That's a tough one. So one of the first things that I had ever gotten to do concurrently across multiple episodes of anything was a little fan production we had done, which is one of the Abridged series that I co-wrote. Was Abridged. In Abridged, I played Tadewaki Kuno, who's this really verbacious, like, over-the-top guy. So that was a really fun voice to learn, especially because it let me go all over the place. So that was tons of fun. In terms of, like, actual characters that I've played, I mean, I played James in Seduce Me and Seduce Me 2, The Demon War. He was really fun because he's pretty close to my natural voice, and then he has a lot of arc about his relationship with, like, his father, and then, like, all this stuff about, like, rebellion, really struggling to deal with all this responsibility. So that was really cool. Then, like, you know, Cyberscape is tons of fun because I get to scream in that series. That's so much fun. So my guy's like, I don't want to spoil it, but he gets messed up. But it's really kind of hard to pick an absolute favorite. But just off the top of my head, those three have been a lot of fun. Then Katashi, whenever Quantum Suicide comes out, there's so much stuff that happens in that game. That game is crazy. I really look forward to it coming out. And I've gotten to have a lot of fun over the years, so it's a little bit tough, but those are the ones that come to mind right now because I just been working on them or reviewing them.
Sweet. Another fun question for you is, I'm pretty sure you've watched like a lot of anime, cartoons, and played a lot of video games and other stuff.
Yeah.
So who are your, I mean, I guess you could go off on a list if you want. Favorite voice actor and actresses.
Oh,
you can have as many as you want. Go ahead.
This might take a while. So, like, I loved watching anime as a kid and playing video games and all that stuff. So, like, whenever I got into voice acting, whenever I was about 16, I was, like, obsessed. So, to give a little backstory, from about the time I was about 16, 17, my voice had already rested in this place, which on acting sheets for auditions, which you get used to looking at. So for audition sides, they'll list like what range they want the character in. Sometimes they'll list like the actual age. Sometimes they'll list where they want the voice to sit. So my voice is always set comfortably in medium low, pretty much since puberty. So for me, the actors that were around that range that I was into, that I pretty much copied, especially a lot in my earlier work trying to do voiceover, was like Crispin Freeman or like Troy Baker or like J. Michael Tatum. I've gotten jobs trying to do J. Michael Tatum impressions. That's still a voice that like sits with me that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna break that out. I love Liam O'Brien, Matt Mercer, super great. My favorite voice actor of all time is Chris Sabat. Who plays Vegeta in Dragon Ball, and then Kuwabara and Yu Yu Hakusho and All Might and My Hero Academia. I remember I got a picture with him at a convention.
Oh, nice.
And I remember I sent it to my girlfriend, and I was like, I can die happy now because I was just so happy to even see him.
Yeah.
Oh man. I've always been a huge fanboy, though. I remember one of my very first conventions when I met Richard Epcar, who's the voice of Bato in Ghost in the Shell. I like shrieked like, I want to be a voice actor. I was just so excited. Oh man, but a lot of guys like that are like super awesome. Oh, and I want to mention Eric Stewart and Eric Vale. Eric Stewart being the voice of Brock in Pokemon and like Gowry and Slayers, and Eric Vale being Trunks in Dragon Ball, and I know he's Sanji in One Piece. Like they were huge inspirations, and meeting Eric Vale was super cool, and every voice actor I met has been super cool. For voice actresses, I'd probably say like I've always loved the work of like Brina Palencia, and then like Caitlin Glass. Wendy Lee is super awesome. Michelle Ruff is really cool. I love Evangelion, so I'll shout out as well. I forgot mentioning Spike Spencer, but his screams in that as Shinji are fantastic.
Oh,
and
God, yeah, like
Yeah,
like just being able to pull those off.
Oh yeah, super super fucking cool. And then Tiffany Grant, who plays Asuka, who you can find videos. She's like nuts about Asuka. I love that because
Yes.
like I loved Asuka since I was a kid, and that's super awesome. And like her weird shrine that she has in her house is just incredible, and I love her performance, and it's all great. So like I could be here for a while just listing voice actors. So, but those are the ones that I remember right now. So those are the ones I'll stick with. Oh, and like I'll quickly say like Johnny Bosch and like Justin Reiner and Lucy Christian, just because I'm looking at the posters on my wall. Oh, and Joshua Seth and the whole cast of the original Digimon.
Yes. Digimon. We're all 90s kids, so yeah,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Love me some Digimon.
It's like when you go to a con and we actually meet them, it's you have like the words in your mind, but when you say it's like hi, I'm a big fan. Like you just stutter.
It's you lose it. Again, when Richard Epcar, my voice literally did it. I want to be a voice actor.
I love your stuff.
Love your work so much.
Can I have an autograph?
It's emotionally overwhelming.
Yeah.
I'll toss a non-voice acting related bit of trivia about me. I have won a Digimon trivia contest before.
Oh, nice. What was the prize?
Oh, the prize was you got to pick something from a prize table, and I think I got a free copy of Digimon Cyber Sleuth, which is where I got my copy. I just to add on to that story, because I love telling this story. Earlier that day, I had won the Digimon video game contest because this was at a little like Digimon convention in the city I live. I had won the game contest, which I think was Digimon Rumble Arena 2, where I hadn't played the second one. I only played Digimon Rumble Arena, and there were maybe like 6 people in this tournament. It wasn't really that big, but I found out that Gabumon could like freeze you, so like I kept spamming Gabumon over and over again. And then the guy that I beat at the video game tournament was the same guy I had beaten at the trivia tournament. He got second place both times.
Oh, and,
no. Whenever I went to the prize table, because I took first prize for both. When I went to the prize table, and I was like,
how's it been? I'm sorry I beat you again.
It's worse. I promise you that. So I go up because they have a 50-50, like a raffle to like win this little gift basket. So I'm standing there and I'm like, I'm thinking about buying some tickets to like try to win a gift basket. He looks over at me wearily because he's also put in stuff in the gift basket. And he looked at me tired and he said, haven't you won enough?
Poor guy, he can't catch a break.
I ruined his life that day. I'm real sorry if you happen to be listening.
If you're listening to this, sorry, whoever you are.
His face will be the one I see before I die. I know it.
This is what you get for beating me and taking everything that I loved, and it's all precious.
I was the #1 Digimon fan before you came to town.
How dare you?
Yeah, so that's off the top of my head. Sorry to take you off track there.
Oh no, this is all about you, so it's fine. Here's another one. So I'm guessing when you record lines, like, have you had any funny stories or I guess bloopers when you record stuff for people and other projects?
Well, the thing about bloopers. All right, so I'm gonna be honest. I very, very rarely, anytime I've submitted like bloopers, normally when I mess up a line, nothing really funny happens because I have a pretty even keel temper most of the time. I never like start cursing, or for the most part, like maybe I'll just. The worst that you will hear when I record is maybe me going, the train is leaving for, fuck. Like that's about as hard as it gets.
Okay.
Like there's bloopers in there for a couple games that I've recorded, and then like most of the time they're me going like, oh yeah, there's gonna be a blooper reel, so I'll, if I screw up, I'll maybe say something silly. But I do have stories I can tell about projects I've worked on where something ridiculous has happened around my recording. So, would that fit under this category? Because I can tell you about that.
Ahead. That fits.
So I'm not going to name names, but I refused to work with this one actor because of something that happened like 7 years ago. Because I had been tapped to be an extra in this guy's like fan dub. And which normal, that's like a normal thing to happen when you're a voice actor. If like people and people through other people, then you network, and then if you need roles or voices and something, then you'll reach out to whoever's available. So I was available. This guy reached out to me, and then he's like, hey, can you like be a background extra that runs away and screams. So I'm like, sure, fine. I record like a scream. I sent it to him. He's like, can you do the voice a little higher? I do that. And he's like, all right, scream a little higher. I scream a little higher again. And he's like, scream a little louder. I scream louder. And he's like, no, it's just a little bit different. I'm like, all right, do it a little bit different. So this is we're on like take like 6, and this is not like in a call in real time. This is like me having to go
like
and set up and record over and over concurrently for this scream.
God.
And then I sent him like these are like big screams. They're like blood curdling because I'm trying my best to get this done. And then he sends me a message back that says, no, scream like you're scared, not like you're getting your dick chomped off by a dog. And those were his exact words. I remember I was like, I blocked him for about 5 minutes, and then I thought about it, I unblocked him, I did the line, and then I was like, if that doesn't work, we need to get in a call. We get in a call, and then I do it until he's happy with it, and he's like, that's perfect, send it to me. I send it to him, I block him immediately. I'm never working with that guy again. Just so that's one of the first things that comes to mind is the not like you're getting your dick chomped off by a dog. So that's one of the first ones. The second thing that I can bring up is I was recording for a fan dub of Blaze Blue. Yeah, it was a Blaze Blue fan dub.
Hey.
And it would have had to have been like 7 or 6 years ago. And then one of the lines, because I was playing Hazuma, was like, this world is nothing but lies, 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 lies. And you have to like scream that because that's what he does in the original. I did that because a lot of the time whenever I was doing lines, I would also be in a Skype call with friends. So I would just be hanging out and I'd go, hey, I'll be right back in a little bit. I'm just going to go do these lines. Well, this one time I forgot to mute. And I had gotten stuck on this line, so I was doing it for like a good 30 minutes, 45 minutes, which I didn't think anything about because I was like, oh yeah, I'll just leave and then come back. So I come back, and they're just laughing uproariously at me, and then they just keep saying, this world is nothing but lies, 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 because I had to keep redoing it over and over again. So I heard nothing but lies for about the next week from my friends.
Lies, lies, lies.
So that's another one that happened. Both of those I think were when I was in high school, so I'll cut ahead to whenever I was in college. If you watch episode 3 of Soul Cheater, which I make, I played Death the Kid. So Death the Kid's real weird, so I wrote him to be real weird. So there's a line that he has in the 3rd episode where he screams, Father, if you ever love me, you'll twist my nipples perfectly symmetrically, which already great, but I'm recording this in a dorm. Not only that, a lot of the time when I was recording in a dorm, which my room in college was nice because I lived in it by myself, at least from the second year on, because my first year, I had a roommate who was very bad. But I'm alone in this room. I record in the middle of the night because I'm a college student. It's about 2 a.m. and I'm screaming about twisting my nipples. I get a knock on the door. And
was it right the RA?
Oh yeah. It was a couple RAs who come in and ask, Are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. I'm doing okay. I'm fine. And then I try to show them my microphone, but I could kind of see the look in their eyes where they didn't believe me. Like not even a little bit did they believe me. So that hopefully, I think I may have become the nipple guy on my floor, but I'll never know. I never talked to them again. I never saw those RAs ever again, so who knows?
Maybe they made a new rule after you.
I would not be surprised at all.
So, like, in like any future projects, is there like any type of voice that you want to do that you haven't done yet?
I've gotten to do a lot. Over the years, I've gotten to do so many different voices. I mean, you see, I've played villains. I'd love to do like a crazy kind of main character-ish voice, like a real cool protag voice, or just like a real sort of awkward teen voice, because I haven't gotten to do that at least in quite a while for like an official project. So that would be really fun. Because in a lot of games, I tend to be like older characters, a lot of whom are like mentors. I'm like, in Ruffled, I'm like, play this real big tough guy who talks like this. And then Cyberscape is probably the closest because I get to kind of do this. Roland kind of sits here in this register where his voice is kind of, a little bit shy, but he's very smart, so he has to sit like right in here. And then like most of my lines have been screaming because of things that happen in Cyberscape, but but something where I get to try to be like a real like shonen type thing, where I get to like really scream like I'm really confident and then really go in for it. That'd be really fun because I haven't really gotten to do that yet in pro VAing. So that's something I would strive for. And like, when you're a kid, and even now, like doing fan work for so many years, I practiced like so many different impressions, and like, as a kid, I wanted so badly to be like, to grow up and be able to play like legacy characters like fucking Shadow the Hedgehog. So like being like, yeah, I get to be Shadow the Hedgehog in this, or like I get to do like, I've done Crispin Freeman impressions for like jobs before, and like Jamichael Tatum impressions for jobs before. Those would be really fun. Or like in Persona 3 Abridged, I do like a Liam O'Brien impression as Akihiko, and like I've done a little bit of that in games. So using those different impressions would be really fun. Or like there was one game that got canceled, and I forget the name of it right now, where I was doing a Rob McCollum impression of Shinya Kogami from Psycho-Pass.
Yes.
Where his voice sounds like this the entire time, and I got to do that for a detective that was in this game, and then the game didn't make enough money on Kickstarter, so it got scrapped. So that would have been really fun to do, and I hope I get to use that voice again, because putting a lot of texture onto your voice isn't something that a lot of people want, but it's incredibly fun to do, so that would be really fun to do in an official project again. So that's something I'd hope to do in the future.
Nice. All right. I guess moving on to your bridge stuff. So I guess what got you into doing a bridge for both Soul Eater and also Rama and also Persona 3? Okay,
so Ranma, which I will note for anyone listening, it's on hiatus indefinitely. I don't know when we're gonna do another one. Just putting that out there for anyone who's listening who's looking for more Rama. I don't know when we're gonna do more. Maybe never. Maybe like next month. I have no clue. So Rama actually was a way that I met one of my closest friends, my best friend Jack, whenever I was in high school. So I was doing fan work for a little while. I had seen like Team 4-Star and a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged. Like I had seen, I don't know how many episodes around that time, but I was cast in a Ouran Abridged, which I do not remember if it came out. I think it, if it did come out, it is no longer on YouTube because it got copyright struck. So no one will ever be able to find it. But I was in there with a couple people, and then I had met my buddy Jack Ramaroto through that, and then he had kind of ushered me out of that. I started hanging out with him and some other people. My buddy Cam, Infamous Italy, who I would go on to make Persona 3 with years later. We got to talking. We started hanging out more often. Jack had been a big fan of Ranma 1/2, which I had only known from like the end of the Pokemon VHS tapes, because Ranma basically got like no advertisement anywhere else.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't know what Ranma really was. I had just known the one ad for the movie that was on like the Pokemon tape. So I watched a lot of it, and then I was like, hey, it would be really cool to do a parody of this. And then Jack had said, like, Jack had already been thinking about doing it. He, I think, had like a one that he'd done when he was like 13 or something, like just sitting there. He was like, oh, I want to do another one. Would you want to work on it? So we started working on it together. So that's how Rama Bridge came together. So then from there, for Soul Eater, I had done a little bit of work with C-Team, which is Soul Eater Abridged. And then they had done a lot of stuff before that. I worked on writing for a couple episodes for them, and then I was like, I kind of want to do this for myself, because like I want to take a crack at writing this for myself, because I had just sort of been helping them script write. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll start from scratch and make my own. So that's how Soul Cheater got started. And then Persona 3, me and my friends had all played. At that time, Persona 5 hadn't been out yet, I think. Yeah, it hadn't been out yet. So around that time, we were fans of Persona 3 and Persona 4, and then the movies had started coming out, and we were like, hey, we like doing this stuff. We like abridging, so let's take a crack at doing like the movies, because no one had done that yet. So we had sat down, and then we were like, well, what do we want to do with it? So because they were like, I have about 9 friends, all of whom at some point had like had a hand at abridging. We were kind of like, well, who do we want to sort of collaborate on this for? Because like if you look at Shaman King Abridged, that was me and my friend Eric, and then Ram Abridged was exclusively me and my friend Jack. So me and Jack were the ones who sort of were the people that would work on a lot of these at the time. And Cam was the person in our group who loved Persona 3 the most, because he had played Persona 3 and Persona 4, and even now with Persona 5 out, I know that he loves Persona 3 the most. So that was why we figured, he's got a medium-high register voice. His voice works perfectly for Makoto, which is who he plays in Persona 3 Abridged. And a lot of Makoto's mannerisms are sort of molded after Cam. So with all of that in mind, we really wanted to get him on board. So that's how Persona 3 Abridged got made, is through that collaboration. So those are the projects that are currently like active. No My Cop, which is the one Pokemon video that is sitting on my channel, is also me and Cam, just because Cam was describing the 15th Pokemon movie to me, and I was like, we should make a video out of that. Just a bit born out of him describing this movie that I hadn't seen to me. Nice. So we made that. So that's been sort of the process, is just sort of sitting down with friends and going, hey, we should make that, which a lot easier to do that whenever you're like in high school and college than when you have a full-time job, which is why we're pretty much just down to working on Persona 3 and Soul Eater now. The last Shaman King episode we released is the last one that's gonna exist. It's the finale to the series. So yeah.
Cool. So as someone with a plethora of roles, how does it feel to start it off in like doing fan dubs and abridged stuff now that you're doing more professional roles as the years go on now?
I'd say it's a natural progression, because well, let me put it this way. There are a lot of people online who do fan stuff where that's all they want to do. And I think that that's perfectly valid and good. For a lot of people, this is a hobby, which I think is a healthy way to approach it, because to get into the pro stuff, professional projects require, well, they require, to be blunt, expensive equipment, because you basically have to invest in getting like a good microphone and a good setup. You can't be recording in a room from like over here. You have to like actually have a room where you can, probably set up some foam or like some blankets or something. You have to get a microphone that costs upwards of $100 to $200. That's not even getting into like Neumanns and like preamps.
Oh yeah.
So all of that's a huge investment. So basically you're going ahead to professional stuff is investing for a job. It's the difference between, playing guitar on your porch and like investing in getting an electric guitar and an amp that has good sound quality so that you can play at like a local bar, or like getting ready for like a concert hall or something. So that's sort of the line there. And I think that that's perfectly good. Especially for professional voiceover. I currently live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. To do professional voiceover, the most optimal places to move, at least in the United States, are New York City, Chicago, Dallas, Houston, or LA. So if you want to do this professionally as a job, you pretty much have to move to one of those places eventually. You can camp on like voices.com or like Voice123 and just do online stuff. But the big money to like make this work as like a profession is to move to one of those cities. And a lot of people don't have the money to do that, let alone investing in the equipment to begin with. And I'm looking to move to Dallas, but that's like gearing my whole life around this decision. And I get that not a lot of people are willing to make that investment, or a lot are just straight up not able to. I think there's nothing wrong with, making a bridge series or fan dubs or whatever if you like can't afford to move, or like can't afford to buy like a super great microphone. Especially if you're like a kid, that's not your responsibility. Or like, if you're in your like 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, if you're like working a job where you can't afford to shell out like $300 for like a good mic, that's okay. Like do whatever you want, do what makes you happy. I think that's really cool, and that's the beauty of voiceover, is even if like you want to do fan dubs or a bridge series or like little radio plays that you write or whatever, I think that's all stuff that's really accessible and good. But moving into the pro stuff is really gratifying because there is that sort of magical feeling of getting the, the email or like seeing your name on like a cast list that gets posted.
Hey, you're
then
in.
it's
You
like,
got the part. It's like, yes.
yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, I'm finally doing this. This is really happening. Like getting into Death Battle was like magical for me because that was like the first production I had gotten into that's based out of Texas where I want to move. So
I will say though, like when
cool.
I saw the credits, I was like, Bradley Gareth. Like, is that like? He was like, I don't want to like impose. Like, is that really Bradley? Because I saw the name. Was like, wait, that can't be him. Like,
yeah,
I actually replayed like your fights. Like, I don't know how many times. Like, that's not him, is it?
Yeah, I know. Like I really
and then
couldn't
I saw your
believe
tweet. He's like, holy crap, that was you. I was like, damn.
Yeah, I couldn't believe I got in either because I a lot of what people don't see for a lot of people that get into pro VAing is the amount of emails or auditions that go out that you don't get in because I had been auditioning for Death Battle for like a year and a half before that, and that was the first time I'd gotten in, so that was super cool to finally get to be part. And that's sort of also a line for voice acting non-professionally versus professionally is you have to get used to a higher rejection rate because I'll say this much. If you're I have a story very quickly. Whenever I had first moved from that Pokemon forum I was talking about to Voice Acting Alliance, one of the very, very first things I had ever gotten into was a Final Fantasy VIII fan dub. It was pretty much like the first video I had ever auditioned for that I had ever gotten into. And I actually got the lead role. I had gotten Squall Leonhardt. And, looking back, my performance was terrible, but that doesn't matter. The point is that I had gotten the part.
Yeah.
And that's partially because my voice sat in the same range as like Doug Holtz, the guy that dubbed Squall. So when I had gotten that role, I was really excited. But at the same time, a guy who had been voice acting for, I don't know, months longer, maybe like a year or two longer than me, I won't name names, made a response video to me getting cast where he said, "What separates Black Mage Brad from other voice actors? That's right, AIDS.
Oh, God.
Black Mage Brad has AIDS, and that's what makes him a great voice actor." And then he like clapped. And he like filmed himself saying all this, by the way. So that was the first reaction I'd ever gotten to my voice acting was it causes AIDS. So that you have to be set up and ready to sort of accept that moving forward because what you're going to get as you voice act is a lot of people telling you it's not good or like it's not great or whatever. In fact, I'll say that for fan voiceover work, even if you get the role, when you start out, you're not going to be fantastic. So it's not going to sound great and you're going to get criticism. But if you can act a little bit, whenever you start out especially, you're going to get cast pretty often. Like I got double cast and triple cast in projects when I was really like, yeah, I'm really getting in these like fan dubs of Full Metal Alchemist that aren't going to come out. Yeah, or like all the, when you audition for like we're going to dub all of this anime and it's like, yeah, that seems feasible and not completely fucking impossible.
Episodes, yeah, I'm sure we're going to get through all of this.
And everyone's like, yeah, don't worry, I promise, we're definitely going to dub all of this. Yeah, no, that's never going to happen.
Sorry guys, we have to drop the project.
Yeah, they get out a quarter of episode 1 and they're like, hey, I just got into college, so I'm going to have to drop this. Like, you get into those projects and you're like, yeah, I'm the best. And then you have to like get ready to like move into indie games and stuff because that's sort of what's accessible on the ground level to move into the professional field and be like, oh, this isn't going to work, is it? I'm not going to get like 2 or 3 characters every single time I audition. Because so many people want that. As soon as you stick like pay onto a job, you're going to get a lot more people going for it, especially whenever it can go on your resume. So from there, you're really going to have to start going and saying, all right, I have to be able to deal with this because if you take every single rejection from voice acting to heart, you're never going to want to do it again. So what you have to get used to and what you have to remember looking at people who are successful, who are doing well in the field or seem to be, is that, for every role that they went for, there's probably like 20 different jobs that they had gone for where they had gotten absolutely nothing. And that's just sort of the nature of the beast. And that's something that is gratifying because when you do land that job, it's awesome. But like you have to be sort of ready to take that because it's really hard. And I've had friends who kind of struggle with that because it is really, it's sort of crushing to try to go for all these projects, especially when you're making that transition from fan stuff to professional stuff, to hit that wall where it's like, man, I got 5 characters in the Dragon Ball Z fandubs, but I'm getting jack shit in this indie game. But that's not even meant to be condescending. It's just you can have confidence and you can say, and you can listen back and say, those fandubs are good. It's just you weren't right for this project, or maybe your voice doesn't fit the range of what they were looking for. It's tough, and you can get used to it. You do get better. Like, your voice acting improves over time. With practice, you get better. Even the fandubs and all the Abridged series and stuff, all of that's really good practice. And it can even be good on its own. Like, you can listen independently to like Team 4-Star or other Abridged series. And for me, a lot of the actors that I employ, I'd argue, for like a lot of the series that I work on, they do incredible work just for parody stuff. And I think that that's awesome. And I especially for the people that work with me and choose to work with me for no pay at all, I think they're incredible. But it is really tough getting into that market because, there's a price tag attached. So at that point, it's a lot harder to get in just because there's so many people and there's so many options for directors. And it is a beautiful feeling getting to be part of that. And I am grateful every day for the opportunity to even be part of that. And especially even on a fan level and on a professional level, to work with all the people that I have, because I definitely think that that's made me a better actor. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be where I am right now. I'm not quite where I want to be yet, because I still really want to be in like the big games in the anime, but just even as far as I've gotten, I'm super happy and I'm super grateful to everybody who's made that possible.
Nice. I'm pretty sure you've probably heard this question at so many job interviews. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
It's all good. I typically don't answer accurately at job interviews with that question. Well, I want to be in, I'd hope in 5 years that I'm in Dallas, and hopefully my dream since I was like 15, 16 years old is to work at Funimation. So I would not like an accounting job, like as a voice actor. So like if I could be voice acting and a main role in something at Funimation, by the time in 5 years I'll be 29. So by the time I'm 29, if I'm a main role in something at Funimation, I'll be happy as a clam. That's the big leagues to me. That's the dream. I like when I took that picture of Chris Sabat after shaking his hand. There and again, I will have that feeling of I can die happy now.
Nice. Alrighty, well, I guess we're nearing the end here. So, Bradley, I would like to thank you for joining me on this episode of In the Booth.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate being on.
No problem. And this concludes this episode of In the Booth. So, see you next time. So, bye, guys.
All right, see you, everybody.